Hi, I'm Darshan Jadalaka. This is my third video about VMware vSAN. In my lab I have already created vSAN, and in the data store we can see we have one data store which has 159 GB capacity, total capacity, and at the moment we don't have any VMs in this data store. Today we are going to discuss about the vSAN policies mainly. Okay, as I told you in my second video, if we don't have any vSAN policies, it will select default vSAN policy when we are deploying new virtual machines. That's vSAN default storage policy, but in this case I am going to create new vSAN policy. Okay, I have named it as a first vSAN policy. Okay, I'm not going to add any rules at the moment. Here we have two options: either we can go with the tag based placement, or we can select vSAN. Okay, we have to add a few things. Okay, first we'll add primary level of failure to tolerate. Okay, I'll keep it as 1. Okay, then this will show us what are the compatible devices with this policy. At the moment it's compatible with our vSAN data store. Okay, this is the policy we have created. I can click on edit. Okay, here we have mentioned the primary level of failure to tolerate. What we can do with this, using this primary level of failure to tolerate option, we can define that how many device failures can tolerate with this vSAN policy. When we are deploying this, when we are deploying new virtual machine, if we select this first vSAN policy, here it's 1, primary level of failure to tolerate 1, which means we can tolerate only one device or host failure. Let me configure one VM and check it. Okay, and here it's saying a virtual disk with size 100 GB, it needs 200 GB capacity from your vSAN. I will show you. First of all, I want to edit and rename this policy. Will say 1 FTT1 okay, device 1, and I'll clone it. FTT0, and I'll make this 0, which means there's no protection, just single copy. See, we have FTT0, 1, 2, I'll make it 2, then it's showing 400 GB, we need 300 GB capacity. FTT03, we can go only up to 3, 0 to 3, the maximum value is 3. Okay, got it. Then we'll go to the deployments. VM, we'll say server 01. From here, first I'll select FTP 0, and this is the vSAN data store. I need Windows 1. From here I will select 5 GB thick. Okay. From here we can see we have consumed 5 GB from our data store, and since we have selected FTT0, which means there's no protection, no failure protection, we can see this VM has only one copy and there's no any redundant copies available. It's okay. If anything happens to this group in ESX03, we can't power it, that server 01, and there's no protection. Okay, we can give this policy to our test VM or any other non-critical applications. Testing one, we can give FTT0. Now I'm going to create one more VM. Server 02. I don't have DRS enabled, then I have to select the host. Policy, this is the one we have created for FTT1. I don't have much space, therefore I will use only 5 GB thick. Okay, it's deployed. We'll see in the database data view. Okay, it has consumed 10 GB, but we have requested only 5 GB disk. Okay, when you go to the VMs and policies, we can see that actually one more copy is available and we have one witness. Okay, even in single VM we can have multiple VM DKs with different primary level protection policies. Okay, I'll show you that thing. I'm going to add one more disk. Add. I'll give 5 GB FTT2. Okay, thick. Okay, it's saying this storage policy required at least 3-4 domains contributed in storage, but only 4 were found. using 4 node ESX cluster, we can't give FTT 2 value for the UI storage policy. There's a calculation. I'll show you in the notepad. Sorry. Oh. The number of host requirement equal to multiplied by the FTT value, say 2, then plus 1. For in our case, the formula should be 2n plus 1. In our case, 2 multiplied by 2 plus 1, which means we need 5 hosts to configure the FTT2 value for our vSAN policy. Let me check whether we can go with 5 hosts. Okay, I'll pause the video. I'm trying to add one more host and we'll continue it. I have added one more host to the cluster. We'll check the requirement. We'll select 1 GB. Tick provisioning. Oops. Let me refresh the cluster. At the moment we have 5 hosts for vSAN. Let me check. I think it's because I have added one more host from different site. Okay. But we can check one more thing in policies. Let me create one more policy. Here we can mention object space reservation. By default, when you are creating a new VM, you can see that it will automatically create it as a thin disk. It will coming as thin disk, but if we configure that object space reservation, it will reserve that capacity from your vSAN. Let me show it. For this one I will make it 100. I think I need to recreate the vSAN. Let me check. I need to put it to this host to maintenance mode that removed from the vSAN cluster. Now we can see our capacity. I'll make it as 100. At the moment we have 141 free space. Now I'm going to create new VM. I'll select policy 10. I'll create 5 GB thin disk. It has reduced 10 GB because the FTT value is 1. Let me check. We have one more copy and witness, but we have created thin disk, then which means it shouldn't reduce capacity from our vSAN, but in the policies we have mentioned the reservation value. Because of that it has reserved the value. To explain this thing again, what I'll do is I'll take this policy, it has primary level of failure to tolerance 0, which means there's no redundancy, and object space reservation I'll make it as 100. when I'm editing that existing policy, it will ask you want to reapply to VMs manually later or no. I'll select now. I'm not going to deploy new VMs. What I'll do is I'll select VM2 and edit. Now we had 132 GB free space. Add new hard disk. Make it 2 GB. It's team provisioning. I'll select FTT 0. Okay. It has consumed 2 GB from our here. We have only one copy related to the hard disk 2, and it has consumed 2 GB from our data store, but actually it's not consumed, it has reserved. But what will happen if we make it as a 50%? I want to apply it now. Now we can see that we have consumed only 131. Sorry, we have 131 free space, which means it has consumed only 1 GB from our vSAN. This is the hard disk. Even what we can do is just we can browse the files. Server 2 is here. Yeah. It's mentioning it's 1 GB, but if we download the file, it's just only 1 KB, which means using that policy it has a reserved capacity from our vSAN data store. And I want to show you one more thing. As you all know, we have caching on our vSAN, and plus we have storage. We can reserve caching depend on the policy. Flash read card reservation, we can make it say 10, then which means when you are creating 100 GB file, it will reserve 10 GB flash from our cache for this particular disk. We can see it from here. Okay. Another thing is, as I showed you, when we have FTT value 2, primary level of failure to tolerate 2, we can't deploy the VMs because there's no that actually capacity is available. But what I can do is, even if you want to deploy it with FTT2 and later you're going to plug the host or disk groups, what I can do is, there's an option called force provisioning. We need to make yes. Okay, now I'm going to deploy a new VM, not actually new VM. I'm going to add one more disk with FTT2. Earlier I couldn't add it because I didn't have that much space. And the host. Okay, now we can add the VM, add the days. It will show you the disk, but it's saying non-compliant because we don't have that much of ESXi host available in the cluster. Okay, this is my third video related to the VMware vSAN. From my next video we'll learn what are the troubleshooting methods and how to monitor our vSAN cluster. Thank you.